Hello, neighbor. Welcome to Season 2 of Grillin with a Cup of Coffee. This is not my typical episode, as I have spent way more time crafting this than any other episode before it. And it's particularly packed because of the nature of this crazy year. So, I hope you'll enjoy the ride, and please note that there is a special bonus song at the end, which I hope you'll enjoy. So, in conclusion, thank you for being you, and thank you for tuning in. Hope you'll enjoy the show. Well, hello, dear Grill fam. It's 2020, and welcome to Season 2 of Grillin' with a cup of coffee. Got some nice chocolatey flavoring in there, and it is dank. So, what a year this is turning out to be. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't even know where to begin. But you're probably wondering, first and foremost, was grilling today? And we are in luck because we've got, lo and behold, 8 precious hot dogs. And it's just about time to turn them over, so let's do that right now. Now notice, as I turn them, the texture on the bottom. See that nice layering of grill marks starting? Let's see, not all of these are gonna turn just right, but okay, those are going okay. Ooh, we're coming close to being done with this one. Ooh, yes, look at that. And one more. Very hot. Okay. 8 hot dogs. Just so delicious already, just thinking about all the aromas and all the goodness within them. Beautiful. So, I figured we'd start out by looking back on this year. This is just a couple notes in the entire flow of things that have been happening. And then afterwards, I thought I'd share a couple thoughts, as per usual. So here's the update. In January, most notably, the first cases of COVID-19 were declared amongst our neighbors within U.S. borders. And in February, U.S. stocks dropped considerably as neighbors in life engaged in sell-offs, due more or less to COVID-19 developments. Comparisons and contrasts were made to the 2008 financial crisis. Don't know where you happen to be on those issues, but thought that was worth mentioning. In March, the Dead Sea Scrolls within Washington, D.C.'s Museum of the Bible were discovered by neighbors in life to be forgeries, which is huge because I was one of those kids who was in a youth group that went to see the Dead Sea Scrolls when they were in California briefly. So, as to some extent aspiring academic, philosopher, theologian, religious studies, and biblical studies person, that's huge news. Also in March, Mr. Gavin Newsom, led California to become the first U.S. state to enforce stay-at-home orders due to COVID-19 developments. And that's led to a wide variety of responses concerning the efficacy, the constitutionality, and the entire epistemological thought processes concerning lockdowns and quarantines. Also in that same month, Mr. John Krasinski starts up telling us about some good news, which is awesome. In April, a ton of things happened all around the world. For example, there was a knife attack in France. There was a Speaker of Parliament election in Israel, while protesters aimed to testify against the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, in government corruption. There was also an election in South Korea, and all of this with COVID-19 still happening. I also wrote down a ton more notes on what happened in April, but some good news from that month was that minus 32 neighbors in life who died on a certain journey I'm about to tell you about. A group of about 400 Rohingya refugees who had become lost at sea while on the way to Malaysia were rescued, which is sad that those people had died, but also great that that many people were rescued. In May, we hear talk about murder hornets. We hear about the unfortunate and maddening events concerning Mr. George Floyd, an African-American father of two girls who was killed by the indifference of arresting officers, Mr. Derek Chauvin, Mr. Tao Teo, and two others, Mr. Alexander Kuhn and Mr. Thomas L. Kane. And that's not only sparked increased awareness concerning sins from systemic racism, but has bloomed into either nonviolent protests or violent rioting and looting on one hand, plus either nonviolent or violent responses from law enforcement agents. It's intense, guys. But some good news from this month is that NASA and SpaceX teamed up to launch and then dock Falcon 9 to the International Space Station. And from what I recall, that went fairly well, which is good. And now it's June. Now I'm going to take a break to check on these precious hot dogs before sharing some thoughts to close out this first episode of this new season. Let's take a look. Oh yes, check out those precious, awesome, sizzling, great hot dogs. Gonna take off a few of these. Now I'm a little bit quirky, and I'm taking these off with just one knife. So, that is what it is. I think these can go for a little bit longer. Just turn the heat down just a little bit. Okay. And now for some final thoughts to close out this session. There's a ton that has been said, a ton that can be said, and I'm not even going to scratch the surface. But I had three things in mind to talk about. First, I think Mr. Charles Dickens' words from A Tale of Two Cities are especially relevant. In some sense, this is the best of times, and this is the worst of times. Not to underplay all the bad things that are happening, but in order to mentally cope, we need to try to look for the good things, and that's hard to do. I struggle with that every single day. Sorry, we live on a street where there's a lot of traffic. Anyway, so that's one thing. Look for the helpers, to paraphrase Mr. Rogers. Look for the helpers. Try to look for good. I know it's hard. I'm with you. It's rough. So, thing two. I wanted to tell you about this quote that's been growing on me from season 10, episode 12 of the renewed Doctor Who series. Mr. Capaldi is portraying the role of the Doctor, and he's trying to have a talk to two incarnations of his arch nemesis, the Master / Missy. And all around him, there are these attacks from Cybermen. Everything is going crazy, right? So that's what's happening. And in the midst of all that, he says this: "Hey, I'm going to be dead in a few hours. So before I go, let's have this out. You and me. Once and for all. Winning? Is that what you think it's about? I'm not trying to win. I'm not doing this because I want to beat someone, or because I hate someone, or because I want to blame someone. It's not because it's fun, and God knows it's not because it's easy. It's not even because it works, because it hardly ever does. I do what I do because it's right. Because it's decent, and above all, it's kind. It's just that, just kind. If I run away today, good people will die. If I stand and fight, some of them might live." Yeah, they're nearly done. I need to go inside in a little bit. But yeah, that was my mom. She's awesome. Continue the quote. He says, "Just kind. If I run away today, good people will die. If I stand and fight, some of them might live. Maybe, not many. Maybe not for long. But hey, maybe some of them might live. Maybe there's no point in any of this at all, but it's the best I can do, so I'm going to do it. And I'll stand here doing it till it kills me. You're going to die too someday. How will that be? Have you thought about it? What would you die for? Who I am is where I stand. Where I stand is where I fall. So stand with me. These people are terrified. But maybe we can help a little, just a little. Why not, just at the end, just be kind?" And with that, there's one more thought I'd like to share. But first, I'm going to take off the remaining hot dogs. So, I'd love to know how you guys are doing and what you've thought about this pilot so far. And, yeah. Got two more to take off. Let's see. This one's quite on there. Okay. One more to go. Okay. Perfect. So, juicy and red and awesome. And apologies, I did not comb my hair before this. It just came out this way. This is a pretty spontaneous video. Okay, so while I let those hot dogs cool and while I turn off the grill, I'm going to have us contemplate one more thought. And to do that, I'm going to show you a little bit of an illustration after I take a sip from my coffee. Oh, it gets better with every sip. So lately I've been trimming up this tree. And it's a huge tree. To give you a little bit of a view. This is just a little bit of a glimpse, right? So there's the tree. And if we look close enough, we'll notice there's this tiny little palm tree right under it. See that? Sorry, my hand's shaky. But what I wanted to say is I think this is a good parable for what we're like as America. So So here's the palm tree, and here's the tree above, and they grow together. Do you notice that? I don't know how best to show this. But the palm branches, they just keep growing up. They're not stopping for anything. These trees are family. They're brothers and sisters, right? They are related. They are on the same ground. They are made of so many similar molecules and atoms and subatomic particles. And honestly, even though they are very different, and even though they're beautiful in all their differences, and even though those differences should be appreciated and should be valued and should be praised and should be pointed out, they are also very much related. They're together. And so I guess I just wanted to end on that thought. We're all from different backgrounds. We all have different perspectives. We all have different personality traits, tendencies, and opinions, dogmas, doctrines. And all of those are worth appreciating and respecting. So whatever you're feeling or going through right now, I want you to know that I support you as a human being, and I love you as a fellow human being. And there's so much going on right now. We all have our different feelings about it, all. But let's just realize that we are together. We are family. You and I, we share so many cells, so many atoms, so many subatomic particles and molecules, and we share so much in common, even aside from the physical stuff. So let's try, one day at a time, one moment at a time, to make it through with an ever-increasing amount of love, respect, peace, safety, and curiosity. Now with that, I've nearly come on the 20-minute mark, and I do have to go inside, and those hot dogs are looking pretty delicious. So, to close, I'm going to say this. My regular benediction. May the force be with you ever more deeply, and may the odds be ever more deeply in your favor. Your guy is attempting to become a friendly neighborhood Christian Buddhist priest. Signing out. Take care, y'all. Hello, neighbor. I've been trying to think as much as I can about all the things that are happening in our world. There is so much I could say, but right now what I'd like to do is summarize many thoughts going on in my brain with an adaptation of a song I think one of our heroes would sing at this time. So, here goes. So very sad here in this neighborhood. A very sad year for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a difficult year in this beauty wood, a difficult year for a beauty, but would you be mine? Could you be mine? For I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this very sad year. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you